3 years ago, I traveled to a rural community in the Japanese interior that colleagues had been quietly referencing for over a decade. The claim was specific and consistent. Virtually no documented cognitive decline in the elder population, for as far back as anyone there could trace. I arrived expecting to find something extraordinary, a genetic anomaly, some rare nutritional variable unavailable elsewhere. What I found on my third day was something so ordinary that I almost dismissed it entirely. Not a supplement, not a treatment protocol, a meal pattern. One specific structure to the daily eating cycle, maintained unchanged across generations, that the modern world has quietly abandoned. Today I want to explain what that pattern does to the aging brain, why its disappearance is directly connected to the memory crisis millions of people are living through right now, and what you can do about it starting tonight. My name is Dr. Kenji Sato, 40 years of clinical neurology, focused on cognitive aging across Japanese and Western patient populations. The mainstream dietary guidance of the last 50 years told us to eat frequently, 6 small meals a day, constant snacking, food from early morning until close to bedtime. Harvard researchers confirmed in 2021 that the brain runs its most powerful internal cleaning process during sleep, flushing the neurotoxic proteins most closely linked to memory decline. That process requires an extended window of metabolic quiet to complete. Constant eating, eating late, eating immediately on waking, all of it disrupts that window before it can close. The community I visited had never adopted the modern grazing pattern. Their meal structure guaranteed the cleaning cycle ran every night without interruption. 4 centuries of that consistency is what I observed in their elders, and what I could find no other explanation for. This channel, the 80-Year Brain, exists to bring you the evidence that mainstream dietary advice consistently overlooks because it challenges too many comfortable assumptions at once. If you want to understand what actually separates populations that age with their minds intact from those that don't, I hope you will subscribe. And right now, if the idea that a single meal pattern could account for 400 years of cognitive health stopped you mid-scroll, type the word village in the comments. I want to know who is watching this conversation. Here is the biological reality, and why timing is the variable dietary advice has never properly addressed. Think of the brain as a library that runs an automated archiving system every night. During sleep, it files the day's experiences and clears the molecular debris from a day of heavy neural use, damaged proteins, oxidative residue, the byproducts of a brain that has been working hard. But this system requires the building to be quiet. When digestion is still active late into the night, when the metabolism has not been given a genuine window of stillness, the archiving system cannot complete its work. The debris accumulates. Day by day, unfiled material builds up in the corridors, blocking access to memories that are still there, still intact, simply buried beneath the backlog. Those proteins have specific names, tau and beta amyloid, the structural markers most closely linked to serious cognitive decline. The village's meal pattern opened a long, uninterrupted metabolic window every night, enough time for the clearing cycle to finish before the next day began. A 2023 study published in Molecules identified a specific compound from tamarind that directly reduced both tau protein and beta amyloid levels, while activating the brain's own antioxidant enzymes, GPX and SOD, the systems that neutralize the oxidative damage those proteins leave behind. This compound appears consistently in traditional Japanese dietary patterns. In the village I studied, it arrived in the evening meal, precisely within the clearing window the meal structure provided, and whatever compounding effect that produced ran every night without exception for generations. Most people who noticed something slipping took the obvious first step. They improved what they ate. More vegetables, better fats, less processed food. These are not wrong choices, but they address the content of the diet without addressing its structure, the timing that determines whether the brain's clearing process runs at all. Others tried intermittent fasting and found partial benefit, because the principle is sound. But most broke the window inconsistently, or resumed eating too early in the morning, and the archiving system never got the full, uninterrupted cycle it required. Some added brain supplements in the morning to compensate for years of accumulated debris. But no compound reaches its clearing potential when the metabolic window that enables the clearing process has never properly opened. You are addressing the what. The village's insight was the when. That single distinction is the entire difference between what you have been doing and what they have been doing for 400 years. Day 1. I changed the pattern. The last meal finished at the right time, nothing after. The window opened, and for the first time in years, the brain's archiving system had uninterrupted time to run. I felt nothing different. That is exactly what day 1 is supposed to feel like. Before I go further, what I am about to describe only produced these results with a very specific addition. One designed to work within the clearing window, not around it. Other approaches I tested got close. None of them delivered what came next. Day 3. Dinner with my daughter and her family. Her husband mentioned a trip we had taken together 2 summers ago, a mountain town, a specific evening. I retrieved it before he finished his sentence. The name of the place, the conversation at the table, the precise detail. No reaching, no fog to push through. But what I remember most is not the memory arriving. It is what did not arrive in the moment just before it. The internal tightening, the half-second of anticipatory dread that precedes any retrieval attempt when you have stopped trusting your own memory. None of it came. My daughter looked at me across the table. Something shifted in her expression. Neither of us said anything, but we both understood. What was happening on day 2, entirely invisible, was the essential work. The botanical compound I had added to my evening routine was deepening the window the meal pattern had opened. Autophagy was running a cycle the brain had not been allowed to complete in years, clearing cellular debris that had been accumulating since the window had last been reliably honored. Tau protein fragments were being broken down. Beta amyloid was reducing. The antioxidant enzymes GPX and SOD were outpacing the oxidative load for the first time in a long time. NGF synthesis pathways were beginning to repair structural microdamage that had been quietly building. The library was, at last, filing. By day 5, the change had registered in a room. An old colleague came to dinner. We talked for 3 hours, across subjects, across memory, and I did not once deflect or manage around a gap. His wife leaned toward my daughter near the end of the evening and said, not quite quietly enough, "He is sharp tonight." My daughter answered without hesitation, "He has been sharp all week." Day 7. I woke before the alarm. The first thought of the morning arrived immediately, organized, clear, present, requiring no effort. I sat for a moment and thought of the village elders I had watched moving through their days, unhurried, fluent, fully there. They had been sleeping with their archives in order for 400 years. I had been doing it for 7 days. The distance between us no longer felt as vast as it had when I first arrived. Once I understood what the clearing window actually required, I became precise about what any real solution must do, because most products in this category were not designed with this biology in mind. First, it must actively support nerve growth factor synthesis, repairing the neural pathways that degraded during the years the clearing window was being disrupted nightly. Second, it must activate the brain's own enzymatic antioxidant defenses, not simply add antioxidants into general circulation, but engage GPX and SOD specifically, the systems that neutralize oxidative damage already present inside the tissue. Third, and this eliminates nearly everything available, it must directly target tau protein and beta amyloid clearance. This is the structural backlog the disrupted archiving system left behind. It requires specific bioactive compounds that engage the clearance mechanism at its source. Vitamins do not do this. Stimulants do not do this. Fourth, genuine bioavailability. A compound that absorbs poorly and never reaches the brain environment is irrelevant, regardless of what it would theoretically accomplish. Most products fail on criterion 3, many on 4. What I found meets all of them. Neuroprime is what I found. A liquid botanical formula, 1 drop added to the last beverage of the evening or the first of the morning, built around 9 ingredients targeting the exact failure points in the brain's clearing cycle, including the tamarin compound from that 2023 research showing measurable reductions in tau and beta amyloid. The link in the description takes you to a thorough explanation of why each ingredient was chosen and how the combination works. I was reluctant to share this on a public channel until I was certain I understood it well enough to stand behind it. Read what is there carefully before you decide anything. 1 drop, 10 seconds. The meal pattern does its structural work. This does the molecular work within that structure. Most people notice a first shift within 7 days, a morning that arrives more cleanly, a name that surfaces without the usual pause. Full sustained results take 30 to 60 days of consistent daily use, and in my observation, the 60-day mark is where the clearing effect becomes something you can rely on rather than something you occasionally notice. It comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. Every bottle returned within a year for a complete refund, no conditions. That kind of guarantee belongs to something the maker is genuinely confident in. If the village I described, a community where cognitive decline is not a feature of aging, if its existence and what it implies about your own brain landed somewhere real for you today, type the word remember in the comments, not as a response to a product, as a decision about what is worth protecting and who you intend to remain. If someone you love has accepted memory loss as an inevitable fact of getting older, share this with them. 400 years of evidence suggest it is not. The link is in the description. What that village preserved was not genetic luck. It was a pattern, consistent, unremarkable, repeated every day. That pattern is available to you starting tonight.